All right. So the importance of pre-production. If you do pre-production right, the production part would be a lot smoother.
Absolutely. You need to figure everything out now because it makes everything so much simpler and smoother during the whole process.
Because some places they want like insurance, permits. So depending on where you're shooting, at that time you can go in and get everything done. And whenever you go to production, you'll have those things ready for them and there'll be nothing to slow you down. Also with like locations, like there's like rules for different locations that you have to get out to everyone. So that's good to have that out in an email so that everyone has that information as well, depending on where you're shooting at.
Right. So you basically want to take this time to define the whole scope of the project. So you're going to break down your vision, you're going to have the style of your project. Like we said earlier, you get your budget figured out, and you want to put all your goals down on paper so you actually have a list here to look at so you can achieve everything. And you use all of this to really get your team all on the same page. And you don't want misunderstandings to happen. And when you have something physical, you can actually, people can get on the same page much easier rather than everyone trying to keep it in their head. And with all of that, you can limit basically time and resource waste because nobody's trying to figure anything out. You've got it all right there in your booklet on paper, ready to go.
Also, you can start creating your shot list, storyboard if you need it or if you know how to do one. That way, you can kind of figure out at least know a time that it's going to take to actually get the shots done and what shots you need and the equipment that you need for the project.
Right, yeah, and the shot list and the storyboard. People sometimes think that you can do one or the other, but it really is important to do both. They are not the same thing. The shot list is going to be a piece of paper with every detail that you need about your shot, down to, the angle, down to time of day, down to what equipment's needed, down to what the actors are doing, what the crew is doing. All of this is important. All of this needs to be, consolidated into one section for that shot so everybody knows what they're doing, and it just improves efficiency. And then the storyboard is that shot list then visualized so you can sit here and go, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I would like to see when the camera is set up. So that way your crew can actually visualize what your vision is and can make it happen.
Right. And even if you can't really draw, use stick figures, like, or if you can't get anyone to do it, do your best. Use stick figures if you have to, but at least have it so you have some idea of what it is that you're looking for, because you don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? What do they call it whenever you just go out and do whatever
You
or
mean
try to
just like
figure it
run
out?
and gun?
Yeah, you don't want to run and gun it because that's another form of wasting time that you do not have.
Yeah, that's the key to any production is time management, because when you are wasting time, like you're just wasting, it's not your time you're wasting, it's everybody's time. And on top of that, it's money, things you've rented, locations you're renting,
Right.
permits you had to purchase. There's just so many things that a schedule and time management will just absolutely change the game for you. Take the time to make a detailed schedule. You want to know when everything's going to happen. You want to know when you need specific crew, when you need specific talent. You don't want them just, sitting there wasting 9 hours of their day if they're only needed at the end of the day. And
Right.
then this reduces downtime, for everybody. It makes you come off professional. It makes you come off like you care about people's times.
Hmm.
I mean, like we're freelancers. Like what's important for us is our budget, and what keeps us on budget or under budget is a well structured schedule and keeping things on time. Just to round that off, I can't tell you how many times someone needs a shot with a sunset or a sunrise and they miss it because they're not prepared. If you're prepared, you won't miss it.
Right. That's where that scheduling comes in. Especially if you're like students or independent and you're not really paying these people and they came out just because they like the project, they like what you wrote, and they just want to be a part. Having that time management done right will really help as far as like them wanting to come back and wanting to even work with you when you do have money. So it builds like this dang, what's the word I'm looking for?
It just builds a good rapport.
Rapport, yes. It builds a good rapport with you, especially if you have like if you're trying to build like this company, you know, and now they see that company's name, they're like, okay, we can work with them because they know what they're doing.
Yes, when you see a name from a production company on a project that you know treated you well last time, I mean, you know you're going to want to try to get on that project again.
Right.
Plus, you know if they produce quality work, and like I said, they're not wasting your time. I mean, you actually feel like everything that you're doing actually has some value to it.
Right. Like you can have good work, but if you're not fun to work with, if you're not, it's not good to work with, I don't have a good time, I'm probably not coming back. So should keep that in mind. Again, it's another time where you can do casting and crewing up for positions that you do not have. Casting is really important. I wouldn't I wouldn't slack off on casting because you can have a great script and the people that you cast can not pull it off and it'll look like they're not pulling it off. Like it won't look good, right?
Yes, the person that you want to find, they have to want to do the role as well. Like you can't just put people, where you want to put them and expect them to deliver. I mean, obviously, if you're on a professional stage, that's a different story. But we are not at that level yet because none of us are in Hollywood.
Right. Right, yeah. And it'll show on camera. It'll show if they're connected with that character or not. That's something that we can go deeper in, which we will later at another time. Definitely make sure we are casting correctly. If you're casting a family or you're trying to create a family, try to make sure they look somewhat alike. Even if one looks more like the dad or one looks more like the mom, like we got to keep those things in mind because we are creating an illusion and we have to make it look like these are actually real families. So
And make sure you do screen tests with these choices because you want to make sure that they actually have on-screen chemistry.
yes,
Because if they do not, it will translate through the camera and it will not look good.
yes, yes. It will show.
With that same thing about casting, it's the same thing about crew. Like, find the right crew. Like, don't just pick people because they say they can do this or they can do that. Like, make sure that they have a reel or something to prove that
Yeah,
they actually know what they're doing. It's just not good when you show up on set with a crew that just doesn't know what they're doing. It slows things down dramatically.
right. And ask the questions. Like I saw some DPs send me videos and I would ask the question, I'd be like, well, did you set this lighting up? Like, what did you do? Is this natural lighting? Because sometimes I just can't tell. And they'll let me know, oh, no, they didn't do this. They had someone do this. They had someone do that. And that depends on what you're looking for, right? If you got a DP that doesn't um, camera operate, like, do you have the money to hire the DP and the operator? If you're on a budget, a smaller budget, you may want to find a DP who likes to operate the camera as well. That way, you kind of cut out that operator DP different positions.
And you definitely want to make sure they are comfortable with that, being both positions there.
Yeah. And that's where it goes to like asking the questions. Don't just do anything. Like know what you need, know your budget, and go from there. Don't hire people if it's not in the budget. Don't do that.
And with hiring people, You need to make sure about scheduling conflicts, because the last thing you want is your crew to call you the day of a shoot and be like, "Oh, I actually had this to do." It's like, okay, let's figure all this out at the beginning.
Right.
Let's make sure we all have this time available, and don't schedule anything new during these times,
Right.
and we'll get the project done.
Yes, and put that in the contract, especially if you're paying people. Put it in the contract the days that they said they will be available, have them sign it, and they have to be available. They cannot just flake out on you. They have to be available because it's in the contract, especially if you're spending a lot of money.
I mean, this budget planning is so important, because this is where you take whatever budget you have and you allocate the resources, wisely. Like, you know that you're obviously going to run into unexpected costs at some point on a shoot. That's just what happens.
Hmm.
So you want to pre-plan for all of the gear you're going to have to rent, all of the locations you might have to pay for. There's certain talent you might have to pay for, crew you'd have to pay for. Sometimes there's permits depending on, what city and county, all those. Anything involving that, you've got to figure out your permits, and those do cost money. Maybe you need somebody to travel, or maybe you need a lot of people to travel. All these, gas money, it all adds up. It really does. So you need to
Right.
plan as much as possible when it comes to a budget.
Yes, yes, yes. And secure your locations. Please secure your locations, because it would look bad to get to a location and they'd be like, "Oh no, this isn't the date that we agreed on." Again, contracts, have it in the contract and they have to fulfill it. And also know if you need permits or what insurance you need to film at that specific location.
Yeah, and when it comes to the securing locations and permits, obviously you're going to do your location scouting. And your
Hmm.
location scouting is extremely important for a few reasons. One being that is the look of, what you're going for. So make sure you find the right place. You're going to want to go there, obviously, and listen for noise. Like, is there a highway nearby? Is there an airport nearby? Those make big issues when you're on set filming for audio.
Right.
And there can also be a stream nearby. Like, running water is rather loud on a mic, so you just want to look out for these things. And all of this can be done when you're securing your locations and getting permits. So just knock it all out in one go, and
Right.
bring a camera with you, take photos, see what things look like on camera at different angles, maybe hang out there for a few hours so you can get a couple different options for what light looks like at what times,
Right.
and then use those things to then build, for example, your shot list.
Right. And also in your location scouting, you need to look and see the plugs. Where are the plugs? Is there restrooms on location? Where do we park? Can we load and unload? You want to make sure you put those in your location notes as well. So you're fully prepared for anything. Like, do they have a kitchen? Are you able to cook there? Do you have to cater in? Like, just keep all that in mind whenever you're location scouting.
Yes, that's a very good point, because we have done two shoots where, one, we were able to pull up, to a building that had a kitchen and all that stuff, and bathrooms, everything right there, air conditioning. And
Hmm.
we've done another one where we put everything in a wheelbarrow and dragged it through the sand for a mile and a half to get to
Yes.
location.
Right. Right. And that way, at least you can tell your crew and your cast, oh yeah, this location, this is what's happening. That way everyone is prepared for whatever it is that they have to do to get there. If you're lucky enough, if you know anyone who has a golf cart, that would be helpful. If you're like traveling up, you have to go a little bit to the actual location spot from base. That would be a good idea as well.
And with what you're saying, it all comes back into play here. The location, you find out what, for example, if you're going through the woods, like, make sure you tell people to wear pants. Just make people prepared. That's the key. You don't want someone showing up unprepared.
Right.